Dear all, thank you so much for watching BS News International. We are African online media. We broadcast from Ivory Coast. For all those who are watching this program for the first time, my name is Eric Biantwadi. I'm a senior journalist. This is the opportunity for me to have you on this channel. Today we have two guests, both from US, Dr. Samuel Mathey and Dr. Narcis Adjaha. We are going to talk about the visa that the Ivorian authority asked the Moroccan government to restore to those who are using green passport. We are going to talk about this decision, how it can help Côte d'Ivoire, and how it may help also Morocco government. We are also going to talk about trading, African trading. What are some events that can happen for this month or coming month? Also, we are going to talk with Dr. Samuel Mathey about zero capital investment, how you can make a business and how you can become an entrepreneur without getting loan from the bank or from someone else. Stay with us and enjoy this program. Before we go deep to our discussion, let's watch the promo of our two guests and come back. Let us start with Mr. Narcis Adjaha. Mr. Narcis, thank you so much for your time in this program. Can you please introduce to our viewer who you are?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Eric, and thank you for having me. And my name is Narcis Adjaha. I'm based in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. I'm from Côte d'Ivoire. I'm from Bouaké, Côte d'Ivoire. And I moved in the U.S. in 2016 for educational purposes. And now I'm building my businesses in the U.S.
Mr. Narcis, thank you so much for your introduction. Mr. Samuel Mathey, can you please introduce to our viewer also, those who doesn't know you, to discover you?
Thanks a lot, Eric. This is a great pleasure for me always to have this conversation with you on specific and strategic topics to the people of Africa, across Africa and across the world. Thanks for the great work that you guys are doing with your media. I'm Dr. Samuel Mathey. I'm an economist. I'm as well specialized in finance, economic development, and entrepreneurship. I I'm the president and founder of FAFED. FAFED is a nonprofit that has been thriving in promoting my concept of zero capital entrepreneurs. The zero capital entrepreneur is a concept whereby we teach Africans in a funds or capital constrained environment how you can start an entrepreneurial activity or how you can start a business despite being in a fund or capital constrained environment. So that's the zero capital. We are currently established like in more than 20 countries. and then we are training 100,000 women in Cote d'Ivoire, 55,000 in Chad, and all over Africa. And I'm currently based in Washington, Washington D.C., the U.S. capital. I went back to the U.S. for several reasons, and I'm currently operating from the U.S. And I usually go back to Africa every 3 months. I still have a lot of projects going on, and Africa is my focus.
Mr. Jean-Narcis, can you tell us a little bit about the project that you're expecting to bring in Africa so that you can help your fellow sister and brothers to not go to Mediterranean or to desert for better life? What is about this project? Can you tell us a little bit about that and how the project started and how this can impact some people?
Yes, this has been a lifelong vision since 2008. I had this big idea back in 2008 in Cote d'Ivoire. And in 2016, with the African Union, we went out playing a lot of important, role in shaping Africa's future in a global economy. I decided to reflect on not a replacement of the African Union, but push for maybe another, alternative to support many young people in Africa. So the council was started officially in 2020 with COVID, and with all the disruptions in the global economy, we were not able to start it until last year. So the vision is to promote Africa's best interest in the global economy with a values-based, system, where we push for our interest based on our values, based on what we need as a continent, not what the West or other people want, for us on a continent. So that was the big visions behind, the council, and we have succeeded in pushing the council within the U.S. government here. And now our next step is to be in African international institutions like the ECOWAS, the African Union, and many other regional institutions.
Dr. Samuel Mathey has my introduction say that we are going to talk about the request of Ivorian government to Moroccan authority. The Ivorian government want the Morocco to restore the visa entry for those holding a green passport to Morocco. Can you tell us a little bit about what was the idea of asking those needs to Moroccan authority to restore the visa for before to enter Morocco territory?
From on August 12th, the Ivorian government issued a statement that from September 1st, because between the two countries, there were no visa between the two countries. So which means that Ivorian can wake up and then just go to Morocco without going through any visa acquisition process. And then on the opposite side, Moroccan can come to Cote d'Ivoire anytime. They don't need to apply for any visa. You see. Which has been an agreement between the two countries for some years now, right? But three things has happened. The first thing is that they realized that a lot of Ivorians are getting into illegal immigration, because you know that Morocco is one step from Europe, especially Portugal and Spain. So, and then Italy. So to go from Morocco to Spain, or to go from Morocco to Spain, Portugal, Europe, is just a boat trip away, right? And then what has been happening is that a lot of Ivorian, they realize that a lot of Ivorian who are fleeing from the hardship, maybe in their country, or fleeing from any economic dire, will go to Morocco because there's no visa, and then they will just try to cross the Mediterranean and then go to Europe, you know. So that was actually what has been happening: illegal immigration, and the problem has been is becoming very serious, in the sense that when other that's the second issue, when the other African countries realize that uh, Ivorian do not need visa to go to Morocco, there has been like a forgery, network, who have started, forger Ivorian passports, so that they can, because for some of the countries, like I think Mali and other countries in Africa, you need a visa to go to Morocco, and then the process is tedious, right? So what has happened is, therefore, was that because of that, not only that some of the Ivorians have been fleeing the country for better economic conditions and environment into Europe. In addition, because Ivorian do not need visa to go to Morocco, there has been a whole network of forgery activities, where people have been trying to forge the Ivorian passports, so that people can gain access to Morocco. So, and then the government has not been very successful in dismantling that network of Ivorian passport forgery. And then that's the second thing that has happened. And then number three is the conditions of those who have been fleeing to Morocco. And then there has been a report that is not only in Morocco. When they get to Morocco, they can get to Libya, they can get to Tunisia, they can get to Algeria. And there have been evidence that some of the women among them are turning to prostitution, right? Prostitution rings, and then human trafficking, and then have been evidences of organ traffic, human organ traffic as well. So those are very serious situations. So the government needed to really combat that, and then the government had not been successful. So one of the tools in trying to uh, combat such a situation is to restrain people from going to Morocco, both Ivorians and then both non-Ivorian who are using the Ivorian passport forgery network to go to Morocco. That's what the government tried to do. One need to, in the economic sense of it, one need to understand that this action has been very, very specific. It has been very, very specific on at three levels. First of all, the action is for 2 years. It's not like we're gonna change it forever. So they were like 2 years period. So, and then they were gonna see if is after 2 years there will be an evaluation to see if that policy is very effective, right? And then number two is not a two-way policy. So Ivorian from now, from September 1 first, would need a visa to go to Morocco, but Moroccan still do not need visa to come to Cote d'Ivoire. So it doesn't affect Moroccan who want to come to Cote d'Ivoire. They will still don't need a visa, right? And the policy try not to punish people who are not who do not have any intent of illegal immigration. That's why people who have diplomatic passport are not concerned about it. People who are working in the government or the Ivorian administration are not concerned about that. People who have a transit visa to go to the US and so on and so forth, and that they can show, but they have to, because Royal Air Maroc, the Moroccan airline, is one of the largest carrier from people have been taken because they are cost effective. So the policy is saying that if you have a visa for the US and then you are transiting through Morocco, be it for 2 months, 3 months, you don't need a visa. Still don't need a visa. And then eventually, people who have visa to transit to Dubai and some other places that are, pretty well renowned, they don't need the visa as well. So the policy wanna kind of like really be very focused on people who potentially will be going for illegal immigration, right? So one has to specify that. With all those adjustment in place for that policy, it's not like a blanket policy applied to everybody, but like I said, it is a policy that applied to specific person that appear more vulnerable or oriented to go into illegal immigration, right? So saying that the visa itself uh, is like $20, which is peanuts. As a comparison, we know that the visa to the US is around like $150 to $200, right? To get a visa to the US in some of the African countries. So the visa from Cote d'Ivoire, the new visa from Cote d'Ivoire to Morocco is like $20. That's not so much. And but the hardship is gonna be on the document to provide, because even if the visa cost is low, they're gonna ask a lot of document. Where are you going? Proof of hotels. When are you coming back? And so on and so forth. There will be a lot of proofs. I think last year there was like more than 14,000 people who tried to cross the Mediterranean from Morocco and other countries in the Maghreb to Europe. And initially, people were like, Ivorian was a high percentage of that. But when they tried to check on people's passport, they realized that there were only like not more than 40 to 55 Ivorian with passports, Ivorian passport. So economically speaking, this policy is not going to have any effect economically speaking, because when you look at the amount of the visa, the cost of the visa, when you look at all the adjustments that they made concerning those who are really required to have the visa, the economic impact should be near nil.
Dr. Narcis, when did you heard about the request of Ivorian authority to restore a visa for those who are using a green passport to Morocco, and how you received that decision?
I received the government's communications, for imposing a visa, between the country. Uh, so when I received that, I was able to speak with somebody in the Ministry of, the Moroccan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they say that the number of young people in Cote d'Ivoire going to Morocco has tripled in the last 3 years. And when they go, they don't come back. Imposing a visa is not permanent. That means that they can review that if things get better in the process. But for right now, they want to impose a visa to reduce, those kind of things that are happening in the country every single day. That's the main reason, for imposing the visa. Yes, now for young people that are traveling to go to Morocco, to search for better lives, I think, yeah, that's the same thing that I said about, in the area. They can stay at home, and I've also talked to a lot of them in Morocco, and many of them, the money they're making in the country, you know, and what they were making in Cote d'Ivoire before, is not like the difference is not really big. So, which means that if they stay in Cote d'Ivoire and work harder than they used to work, of course they can improve that life status that they think they are having in Morocco. And this come, and if you take Morocco back, 30 years ago, then they were not strong like that, like they are today. But they stay in the country, they work, even when things were difficult. They believe that they can make an impact by transforming the country. That's what they did 30 years back. And now, you know, everybody wants to go there because they stay in the country and they pay the price. And I believe that young people in Cote d'Ivoire have to pay the price, of development. It comes with personal sacrifices. It comes with personal investment in projects. It comes with a lot of work, a lot of real work. You work. If you fail, you have to come back to your feet, learn from your experience, and continue until you succeed. And that's what major economies have done. China, Russia, England, the UK, even America, they are always, learning from their failure. And I believe that young people have to have this kind of mindset, and return home and start somewhere and grow. And one of the major challenges is entrepreneurship. When you look at the Francophone zone, uh, starting a business when was not in the culture, before, and it's something new, and young people have to, begin to start a business, promote it. It takes 3, 5, even 10 years to build a very strong brand, and this also comes with a personal cost. Young people have to do that, and that's where you want young people to play a much more bigger role, because if they're not doing, nobody else will come to do it. And I believe that that's where we have to keep on working. They need investment. Those who are living abroad, those who can play, can support by pushing for investment. We have to continue, to do it, and we have to hope. We have to continue to hope that the future, will be bright. So each time I speak to a young leader, a young person in Africa, I always tell them to hope, to continue, to work very hard, to push for their dreams, to continue, and that's where, um, every other country has done. South Korea, Japan, they have done the same thing, and we can do it. And that's where I work very hard every single day to at least do something, that something, to help young people to grow. Some needs a platform to share their experience. When it hosts event like that, we help them to, to speak, to gain some sort of, visibility for the project. And a lot of them have been able to, have support. And that's what, you have to keep on doing every day, in Africa. And that's my life passion. That's my vision. And I work on that every day, every minute, you know, when I'm not publishing, when I'm not on the ground working on a project, I'm, supporting, young people in different ways. Some have the business plan that I review. Some have the ideas. They need connections. Uh, I share, my network in many ways I can to help them to grow. And I've been able to do it for some time now, and I continue to, to do it. And that's what in Cote d'Ivoire, that's what we have to continue to do it. So the government is doing its best, and the government cannot do everything. That's where the private sector comes in, and that's why we need young people to be it businesses, we need young people to be involved in projects, and young people to come together to work. I've seen it in Kenya where we have 20, 25 young people coming together to form a strong brand. I've seen it in South Africa. We got 45 young people coming together to create a project. And we need this kind of, mindset in Cote d'Ivoire. And that's what I'm pushing. I'm pushing for that. And it is my hope that that will be done in the next 5 to 10 years. We'll be like, an economic powerhouse, for young people, not only in Cote d'Ivoire, for those in West Africa.
Let me come back to Dr. Samuel Monti. Dr. Samuel Monti, what impact this measure could have on those people who are traveling to Morocco, whether by road or by plane, with the vision to go to Europe? What impact this measure can have to the authority?
Usually, based on the International Migration Organization, people who want to go for illegal immigration usually go through the road by car, most of the time by car. And then number two, based on I don't have the latest statistics, but usually they have more influx from Morocco to Cote d'Ivoire, and then some of the people who have been trying from Cote d'Ivoire to Morocco are Moroccan themselves, because we have a large. I don't still have the latest statistics, but we have a very large Moroccan community in Cote d'Ivoire. One of the things that one has to understand is that uh, initially Morocco at this point in time was the only country where Ivorian um, that was visa free for Ivorian, because the other countries like Tunisia, Libya, they were, I think Tunisia joined visa free, but that has to be confirmed. But other countries like Algeria and so on, they require visa, right? So the problem really was with Morocco. And what is going on as well is that one has to understand that they when people are usually the migrants, or the candidate, or those people who wanted to go into illegal immigration, they go by road instead of by air most of the time, right? So and then what is happening as well is that, and that one has to understand, is that I don't believe that that will put people into developing, alternative ways, or alternative riskier ways, you see, because um, the cost of the visa, because we need to, maybe we need to wait for the 2 years test period, because the cost of the visa, like I said, it is like $20, which is kind of like basic and insignificant. Everything would depend on the seriousness that the Moroccan embassy in Cote d'Ivoire will implement, right? Because if everything will depend on them, if because usually some of the people, I was discussing with one guy over there, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, but we are short staff." A lot of African embassies in across Africa, even in Western world, they are short staff. Because if they implement a visa and then they started having like, okay, they needed to kind of process like 100 to 500 visa a day, that would be good for them. They are not going to reject them, because it's a source of income, because you have to multiply those maybe 500 by $20. So that is like $10 a day for the embassy. And that's good money for them. And then that can push them into, because they are short staff, in kind of like accepting or processing positively a lot of visa requests, because they are short staffed. They don't have enough time, to process it diligently, to do all the due diligence. That could be a problem, right?
Dr. Narcis, when you start your journey to the counseling project, how challenged were you facing to reach the place you are today, and how do you want to see this counseling implementing in all Africa? We know that in Africa, before you get access to many political leaders, many advantage offer, you need to be in Africa to sympathize with those people who are handling those things. You need to know them before you invest on it. How do you manage to?
When I studied the council, I encountered a lot of challenges. The first challenge was within the African diaspora. And the big problem is that a lot of African leaders based in the US, are pursuing personal interest over the continent interest here. So the first challenge that I had was to be able to impose the idea within the African diaspora. So we have tried for over 4 years now, and we have won all the struggles in this area. The second challenge was within the US system. And in that regard, we have been also be able to explain what we want to do, on the continent, what the vision is, and how even can the US, be part of that, of that project. So this has been, the two big challenges, and we have been able to, to win those struggles. Now, in terms of impact on the continent, our goal is to push for a system where young people lead. If you take the African Union systems, young people are now playing much bigger role, in the institution itself, and that is a big problem. And we are all speaking of a continent with, young people be under 30 and even 25 years of age. And young people are now being placed at the center of all the economic and political decisions. So what we are pushing is to be able to to reform the minds of the African Union, that young people should be placed at the center of the decision-making bodies at the union. And then we are not, even when we succeed in pushing young people to be making decisions, we also want to promote economic builders, because we believe that in Africa we have a lot of political leaders, but we have less economic builders, because economy is what make political power, and we have to push for these kind of ideas, and that's the biggest, that's make, almost 90%. Yes, yes, this is a very, very, very good questions. You know, the policies, the economic policies in most of African countries are not benefiting, young people. And the majority of young people want to go, to Europe, want to come to America to, improve their life conditions. And what needs to be done is to, explain, young people that they have to hold the government accountable. First, by pushing for both ideas that, will bring those government to, to change course. If we take the entrepreneurship, ecosystem, for example, that's something that, in every country, in every region, we should be promoting by, calling for investors to invest in young people, young people with ideas on a continent. And this is why I wrote a book. If you check, I wrote a book on the ACFTA, and the title of the book is The Geopolitics of ACFTA. And in that book, I also explain, how this project, if we, make bold decision inside this project, we can actually, stop the immigration, flow that is increasing every year on the continent, by first supporting SMEs. Young people are, the driver of the economy today in Africa. Most of them have created successful, SMEs, startup. So what they need is they need training, capacity building, empowerment. They need financial resources to, improve not only their own lives, but improve, the livings of people around them. That's the only thing they need, and that's what they want to do. And that's where, we have to focus, on. And again, when you look at the policies at those major institutions like the African Union, and this is not being done. And that's a big mistake that the council here, we want to, push, for reformations, for, bringing those leaders to understand that, we have to support young people in many ways that we can, if we want to be the continent that will be, sustainable and inclusive.
Dr. Samuel Monti, when it comes about Morocco side to Cote d'Ivoire, the Morocco side doesn't have a visa to come in Cote d'Ivoire. This will still the same as before, but on Ivorian side, Ivorian that are holding a green passport, they have to go through visa request before they reach Morocco. How do you see that balance of
Then some of the blogs, a lot of people haven't got all the information on that policy. I realized when I was started discussing with some of the people who were voicing on that policy that they didn't understand, they didn't have the information that Moroccan from coming to Cote d'Ivoire would not need a visa, still not a visa. Most of them, some of them were not aware that that policy will be only like for 2 years, and some of them were not aware that people with uh, a visa to other countries like Dubai, US, and so on and so forth, they don't need that visa. Some of the people as well are not aware that service passport and diplomatic passport, they don't need a visa. So there's a number of situation and criteria where you don't really need those visas. So that's, I think there has been a talk between the Ivorian authorities administration and then the Moroccan administration that has bringing those adjustments to this policy and that make it come to pass. First of all, when you look at the policy as a whole with all the adjustment, I can say that it was, I won't say like it's perfection, but it's a well thought policy, right? If you have all the information on the policy, it's a well thought policy. And but unfortunately, in those situations, because like I said it initially, the Ivorian government needed to fight illegal immigration. They needed to fight the network of Ivorian passport forgery. Okay, and then they needed as well to kind of like attract and retain talent. So when you have such a policy, you cannot rely on only that policy instrument, but you have to have several tools and instruments to help, bring the economy to speed. So definitely that shouldn't be the only instrument used to combat or fight illegal immigration. And then the root cause of illegal immigration is corruption, is non-governance, is unemployment, is constrain freedom of speech, because not all of the people are living because of economic dire. Some of the people are living as well because of the political situation, because they feel threatened. Okay, so that's why we are saying that it's a good, it's a good decision, but it shouldn't be the only decision to combat, poverty in in that other part of the world.
Dr. Narcis, you are planning to have events online that can help African people to learn some topic from your event. Can you tell us a little bit about that event and what people will get from that event if they have to attend it online? What's the impact this could have on youth of Africa?
So the ACF Political Action Conference, as you just said, will be held on October 1st this year. And the main topic is in Africa, empowering young people to build prosperity at home. Because if you want young people to, build lives, do what they can, to support local economy, support their countries at home, because I believe Africa is the future of our humanity. If you see great power like China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the US fighting, to dominate the continent, they know what they want to get on the continent. So the idea of leaving the country to go elsewhere, of course, is good, but young people have to understand that they have to, stay home, and they can do better at home by, building businesses, leading, um, institutions, creating, uh, organizations that can promote businesses at home. So the objective is, is to promote that kind of ideas, and we want to bring top leaders on board to speak. So we're gonna have some career diplomats, uh, international trade officials, uh, and from different countries, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire, from the US, from Canada. So people are coming from all over the world to share their insights, perspective, and more importantly, uh, propose some sort of practical solution that we can actually use to support those young people on the ground. So that's the main idea of the project. And back to Cote d'Ivoire, of course, we want to have our first office in Cote d'Ivoire next year. We have um, addressed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Economy last year, and we're planning to deploy our first regional office in Cote d'Ivoire that will serve West Africa sometime next year. And we are in talks with a lot of leaders in the government to host our small office in Cote d'Ivoire next year. And that will also benefit young people that will also have the chance, to serve, to be trained there, to have to be the network, within these institutions. So that will be, I'm from Cote d'Ivoire, and I want to start from Cote d'Ivoire because I want to, at least do something for the country, uh, show my country that, of course, even if I'm living in the US, working here, I still have the country best interest, in mind, by promoting the council in Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire, my home country has been a very strong economic player in West Africa, and per ranking, Cote d'Ivoire is now the second. Like I say, economy just behind Nigeria, and the country has done great. From 2011, after the post-election crisis until now, we have seen a lot of economic progress, and the present leadership is unique. Is unique and is a strong economic builder. I know a lot of people in his office. I've engaged with a lot of leaders in economic development areas, especially in the youth development sectors. Uh, so that sends a strong message to countries around Cote d'Ivoire, and that's why I will be releasing a short book on what I call the geopolitics of the CAN. The football tournament 2023, and in that short book of about 30 pages, I'm uh, exposing how far Cote d'Ivoire has come, to be where the country is today in terms of diplomatic force, to becoming, an economic powerhouse in the region. So I'm exposing, this progress, in the country, in West Africa. and that's also serve as an a practical example that countries in Africa can imitate, if they want to grow, if they want to, be the economies, if they want to, see their citizens support, the presidency, and that's what we are doing in Cote d'Ivoire. And I follow very closely every movement, every economic project in Cote d'Ivoire, and and that's where we planning to go. And I have a lot of projects. I'm actually working on a small project because I want to bring all the leaders. I mean, in the diaspora, we are now to really organize in different ways. And when I look at um, the Ethiopian diaspora in the US, the based in the UK, when we look at the Kenyan diaspora based in Washington, D.C., they are highly organized and they play a powerful role in promoting investment in their home countries. And I'm working on a very small project where I want to bring, all the brightest minds, of the country together, to work together to promote a practical investment, in the country. And I think things we will start sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. We have a board with people that will join to actually push that. So yeah, I work behind the scenes sometimes, to support a lot of initiatives on the ground.
Dr. Samuel Mathey, I was talking about a zero capital project that you launched in Africa, and tell us a little bit about that project, how people can succeed if they don't have access to funding or to have like a bank access. How will you handle it, and how people can involve in these events?
Yeah, people can join us. I mean, if you go to my LinkedIn, my pages, my social media pages, Samuel Mathey, you have all the information. We all know that Africa is capital constrained. I'm living right now in Washington D.C. I can go and then open a bank account with 0 franc or $0, right? And then when I open a bank account, the account will be open in less than 24 hours. And then as an initial transaction, I can start borrowing money without even putting money to open my account in the US. I can start even borrowing money, as you see what I mean. Meanwhile, in Africa, capital is constrained, uh, and people need to have those kind of access to capital in Africa. So the zero capital concept is something that is we have different tools and instruments that we've been teaching people on how you can start a business in a capital constrained environment, and you don't have resources, you don't have the money. So basically, that's the idea of the zero capital. What we are doing as well is that we've currently worked in Burundi, and then results were great. What we are currently doing as well is that uh, because most of the time, incubators, business angels in Africa, they barely touch 10% that they barely touch, you see. So now, what is happening is that we are like, why not all those, usually based on our statistic, almost 90% to 95% of people who apply to incubators in Africa, across Africa, are rejected because of capacity problem. For instance, when you take the case of Dakar, we work with the mayor of Dakar. He has an incubator who has a limited capacity of around 155 people. But at the same time, that same incubator who has only 155 seats uh, has been receiving every year almost 35 to 40 suits. So you have they've been receiving, I think one year they receive almost 35,000 applications, 35,000 applications just for 155 seats in that incubator. So what we are trying to do as well is kind of like help people who are rejected to go through the zero capital training so that they can start something on their own. Again, we are not saying that you should never use capital, but what we are saying is that help people to start their entrepreneurial activity without any capital given to them, but with what they have at hand. That's what we are saying.
Dr. Narcis, so those who want to register for these events, where and when can they register for these events so that they can attend your event online? Can you give a little bit more information about what's going to happen for people who want to participate?
Yes, we have a platform for registration, and that will be open on September 1st. I mean, next month. That will start, I think, in the next week. Sunday, it will open next Sunday, and they can go online and register at the event, and it's free. It's free. A lot of people want to attend, but they're asking me every day, we have to pay something. Times are difficult in Africa. I say no, the event is free for everybody to join, but they have to have the link, go online, register to have the Zoom link, and they'll be able to join it freely. They don't have to pay anything. And then at the end of the event, we'll be having a short report that will also be available to everyone on our website as well.
Dr. Samuel Mathey, thank you so much for your thought, and we hope to see you next time to our program as usually.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Dr. Narcis, what will be your last word?
Yes, my last word will be, I will tell young people to continue to do what they like. For those who are fighting, to be the better lives, so they have to continue. They have to hope. The way is not easy. The way to get there is not easy, but traveling, at the cost of their lives by dying in the waters abroad is not the way. It's not the way. So the council is here. It's not easy. It's very difficult work, and we are still pushing, and that's what we are doing. And I believe that by all coming together to support the council, we'll be able to be will be a hope for young people in Africa.
Dear viewer, thank you so much for staying in this program. I hope that you enjoy the thought of our two guests, and let us tell you that this program is main focus is to help entrepreneurs and European investment people who want to come in Africa to invest. This program will tell them more about the environment of investment in Africa. Whenever they are ready to come in Africa, they can get some information from our program. They will learn more about some locations, some security topic. And the BS News International is online channels. We are building trust and more confidence to those entrepreneurs and those businessmen who want to come in Africa. We cover big events like African CEO and other in Africa. Stay with us. Don't miss our program.